The Silver Ballerina, Part 1. Chapter 4. I've got a conference at the end of the month. It's all the way in Orlando, so I'm going to be gone for the whole weekend. I doubt it. I'm going to be in meetings all day. Maybe I could go in the evening? I listened curiously. What was a conference? Gone for the whole weekend? All right, Mary Jane said. Love you. Tell Dad I said hi. She hung up the phone. 2 days later, an open suitcase was on the floor. A suitcase was for packing clothes in. It meant she was going to be gone for a long time. I was excited and nervous. Part of me liked the idea of having more time to move around and do what I wanted. The other part imagined all sorts of disasters. I tried to reason with myself, but worry nagged me all the same. Early the next morning, as the sky turned pink, Mary Jane zipped up her suitcase and packed some last-minute stuff. She put on her shoes and hat, took one last look around the room, and left. I sat on the edge of the desk, swinging my feet. I couldn't read a book. Mary Jane had taken the book with her. I couldn't look out the window. She had left the curtains closed. There were plenty of trinkets on the desk, but I was bored with them. I had the whole house to myself for 3 days, and I had nothing to do. Or did I? Like all of my ideas, I was a little hesitant. Unlike my last ideas, it didn't take me long to get over it. On the right side of the desk, opposite the bed, was a set of plastic drawers with large handles. Climbing them should be easy, I thought. I lowered myself onto the first handle. Perfect. Not that it was that far down to begin with. The second one would be harder. I gripped the handle and slowly lowered myself onto the next one. Perfect again. I continued like this until I reached the floor, where I dropped softly onto the carpet. I was off the desk. I was off the desk. But could I get back on? Easily, as it turned out. I reached the handles by jumping, and I pulled myself up with my arms. Thank goodness I didn't need real muscles. I climbed to the top and danced a gig. I could go anywhere and do anything I wanted. No human would ever know. The question was, where to go first? Well, the drawers weren't the only way off the desk. I stepped onto the bed and sank deep into the blanket. It was soft, cushy, and hard to walk on. I burrowed under it. I'm a rabbit, I giggled. I put my hands on my head like ears, twitched my nose, and dashed from imaginary dangers. When I got bored with that, I climbed onto the headboard and jumped onto the bed. I laughed as I bounced and did it over and over and over again. My next game was raiding the bookshelves. To my frustration, I couldn't reach the higher shelves. They were too far for me to jump to, and the sides were too slippery for me to climb. Fortunately, there were more than enough books to catch my interest. I chose a colorful cover, pulled it out, and laid it open on the floor. Standing on the pages to keep it open, I read. It was bliss. I didn't have to eat. I didn't have to drink. I didn't have to use the bathroom. I didn't get itchy eyes or kinks in my neck. I could read to my heart's content without fear of interruption. Still, even metal ballerinas seemed to have their limits. When I finished the book hours later, my head felt swollen, and I was forced to take a break. What else is there to do? I thought. Climb the chest of drawers? Leap through the curtains and look out the window? Or the door to the bedroom was nearly an inch above the ground, leaving a large gap between it and the floor, large enough for me to slip through. I would have to be fast. If I went too far, I might not make it back before Mary Jane did. The hallway was cavernous and dimly lit. There were two other doors, one on my left and another straight across from me. I couldn't get under the first one. It had stuff in the way. I could get under the second one. It was a bathroom. Some of the floor was carpeted, but the rest was tile. My feet slipped on it, and I went clunk on the floor. I couldn't climb anything in there, so I left. The hallway led to a living room and a kitchen beyond it. There was a long couch in front of a large flat TV set, a little tray for snacks, 3 more bookshelves, and 4 windows. All of the curtains were shut, and none of the lights were on. I walked through the house, awed and dazed. The world had seemed big from the desk, but from down on the floor, everything was so high. I paused just before entering the kitchen. The floor was made of the same tile as the bathroom. I wasn't curious or bored enough yet to try crossing it, so I left it and explored the living room. Passing by the TV stand, I suddenly caught sight of movement. I leaped back, smothering a scream. It wasn't an intruder. The door to the cabinet was glass. I was looking at my reflection. I touched it gently. My face was round and youthful, and my hair was cut into a short, cutesy style. A spiny tiara sat on my forehead, and there was a tiny black spot under my right eye. I'm not sure how long I stared. I had never seen myself before. I waved my hands. I looked at my back. I bent over and looked at myself from between my legs. After a while, however, I became impatient to do something else. I had a whole new room to explore, and I didn't want to waste any time. I played all day and all night. I explored the cabinets and the TV stand. I raided the bookshelves for more books. I climbed the couch and hopped across the cushions. From the couch, I could see the remote controls for the TV on the set. If I could get to them, I could watch TV like Mary Jane. Getting to them, though, books could be used as stairs when they were stacked on top of each other. I had 3 shelves worth. The process took hours. Stacking the books, dragging the remotes down, restacking them against the couch, and dragging them up. Then I had to figure out how to make them work. It was a whole new world. It was a world that sucked you in with color and music and didn't let go. I dived into movie after movie, show after show, laughing, crying, screaming, and raging. Just as I finished my 4th movie, I noticed the pale white light peeking through the curtains. I glanced at the clock. It was 6:15 a.m. I turned the TV off. I returned the remotes to the set and the books to their shelves. I flopped on the carpet. I was drained. After hours of riding high on a storm of TV-produced emotions, I didn't even want to read a book. I wasn't up for playing either. I could explore some more. If I found a way to get across the kitchen floor, I could see what was on the other side. I studied the tiles. They were smooth and slick, with fuzz and grains of sand scattered over them. They had white grout in between them, framing every tile into neat squares. I put one foot on the white stuff. It was rough and bumpy. I stepped onto it. I didn't fall. I walked on. The grout kept me upright as I threaded through the tiles. On the other side was a small room with a washing machine, a dryer, a white clothes basket, and a door straight ahead. The door had a window, and outside the window I could see blue sky and sunlight. I had reached the other side of the house. There wasn't much to see. Mary Jane didn't appear to use it for anything but laundry, and she apparently did it all before she left. There weren't any clothes in sight, no odds and ends for me to play with, and the machines were too sleek to climb. I was ready to leave when I spotted a patch of light. It was coming from a hole in the door.